we're back outside Doble Motorcycles today, and we're going to test ride a Honda NT1100, which will be an interesting test ride, I'm sure. I have seen a very nice looking Goldwing, I must say, all blacked out. I must say I do like that. The more I look at these Goldwings, the more I like them, especially when it's black on black like that as well. Yeah, let me know your thoughts on Goldwings, guys. I know I've had a few comments about, well, when you're going to test drive a Goldwing, when you're going to test ride a Goldwing. Well, I am going to, but I need a bit of a longer test ride than what I've been doing with the other bikes, because I think there's a bit more to get used to, and sort of seeing the whole point of a Goldwing, and would it suit my lifestyle? I'm sure it probably would, but we need to know. I like the blacked out Honda badging there as well, that's really cool. Yeah, blacked out exhaust. Oh, it's, as the kids would say, fully murdered out. Yeah, I'm really getting down with the kids. He's just gone to put some fuel in it for me, which is very good of him. Excellent, thanks Joe, appreciate that, mate.
Can we show you over the bike?
Yeah, that would be good actually.
So obviously, with your electronic suspension.
Yep.
I've got your heat grips on as well.
Fantastic, good man, thank you very much.
If you want to turn them down, so you've got your function button here,
okay,
and then you use this to go up and down. So obviously your function, heat grips then come up, and you use this to go down. So obviously that's then turning off, completely off.
Fantastic.
They come up there, or you can have them on. I've got them on full whack at the moment, but
brilliant.
They get quite warm, so you might want to turn them down.
Excellent. And the electronic suspension?
Electronic suspension, yeah. So that is the issue. So when you're in tour mode,
okay.
Your preload is here.
Yep.
So then you just press enter.
Fantastic.
That will go in, and then you can just turn that on. So obviously at the moment it's just your single rider.
Excellent.
Then obviously two of you, so obviously two up.
Yep. Two up with luggage. Excellent.
Yeah, you'll feel the bike moving. When you change it, you'll feel the bike moving down.
Come up and down. Oh, excellent.
You actually feel it.
So I won't get seasick then?
No, you won't. And then, yeah, you can change your traction control as well.
Excellent.
Riding modes wise, just press your up and down to go through riding modes. You've got tour, rain, urban, and then two custom modes.
Fantastic.
It's in tour at the moment, so we'll have to see how you get on and play out of it.
Excellent, thank you Joe, I really appreciate that, mate. Thank you very much. That was Jay from Doble, very knowledgeable, which is very useful when you're taking on a bike like this with loads of bits and bobs. This is a DCT version, which only comes with the electronic suspension, so you can't have a manual with DCT. And it's odd here because I always get around here, always put the heated grips nice and warm. It's always a bit odd here with no clutch lever at all, so always a bit of a thing to get used to, because when I had the XADV, obviously that's more of a scooter, well it is a scooter really, or a maxi scooter. It's odd to yeah, not to have any lever there at all, but there you go. We'll get used to it, I'm sure. Oh, the heated grips are piping. They are absolutely piping, which is excellent, which is good. We'll get in front of these guys here, I think. Yes, it's a little bit chilly today, but heated grips does make a nice difference. DCT again, I've been absolutely hammering the DCTs at the moment, and at last a comfortable soft seats. Thank you Honda. So if you didn't know, as you probably did, this bike's based on the Africa Twin CRF 1100. So let's get a bit of housekeeping out the way. So it's around about 100 horsepower, 112 newton meters of torque, around about 258 kilograms. So there's been modifications of this bike for the latest model. It's had a DCT update, which is good, make it a bit smoother apparently. Apparently it's got all sort of anti-lean and all this sort of stuff as well to help with, you know, not having awkward gear changes in the places you don't want them, which is nice. And it's comfy. This is a very good seller for Honda. I think it's one of the best selling touring bikes actually. Not just for Honda, but for all manufacturers. They've sold a lot of units, I believe, and obviously this is the updated version. Very sit upright, which I like. Not difficult on my wrists. You'll always hear me complain about my wrists, but no, this is comfy and a nice tall riding position as well. As I say, based on the Africa Twin, which I rode that. You might see the videos. The first time I ever rode a DCT bike was the CRF 1100. Yeah, Africa Twin, and that was a nice bike. DCT, as I said. Which way should we go? I think we should go... No, we'll go straight on, because we'll do a bit of traffic riding. I'll tell you what, I'm getting really lazy with all this DCT at the moment, and the more I ride a DCT bike, the more I like it. And I'm sure there are going to be a few people in the comments that will give me a lot of grief for that comment, but I think if you haven't ridden one, you'd still be in the camp of, oh no, I've got to be a manual, I've got to ride the clutch, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. I think until you've actually done it, you start going, oh, hold on a minute. It was like trying to talk my granddad into an automatic car. Before he passed away, there was no chance in a million years he would ever have an automatic. Just wouldn't. He thought it was too complicated. I'm not saying that anyone in the watching this is thinking the same, but I think we're getting that sort of stalemate, sort of thought process where we just think, well, what we've got and what we've used to, that's the best. And if you are doing a load of miles, especially town riding and stuff, DCT it is a bit of a godsend. And it's amazing, as I said in other videos, how quickly you get used to it. You think you're going for the clutch all the time and stuff, and your mind so quickly adapts. So this has got all the usual modes. You've probably heard Jay mention them anyway, that you can put the bike into. It's got 3 sort of preload settings, one obviously for you, one for you and a passenger, and one for you, a pillion and luggage. So if you're going a little bit heavy, the bike will accommodate you for that, which is nice. But we'll go through all those modes anyway after we've had a bit of a ride. As I say, I tend to not do a bit of a walk around video until I've had a bit of a ride. I like my first impressions to be how the bike is. So what will we be doing on the bike today? Well, that is an interesting question. It is my father's birthday, so I'm going up to a shop he likes, which isn't too far from here, because he wants to pick out a motorcycle helmet. So we will be going to do that. We'll be choosing him a motorcycle helmet for his birthday. So yeah, I'm sure he's got an idea of what he wants. The weather, as I say, is a little bit chilly, but it's dry, and I'm tempting fate by saying that, as I always say. But if there was any wood, I'd be touching it now. Ooh. So yeah, we've got some power sockets there, like a 12-volt socket, USB connector, which is very handy. The bars are not too wide, which I really like. I do actually like the feeling of wide bars, but they become more of a bit of a pain in the bottom when you're actually trying to commute, because of obviously the width of them. So yeah, these aren't too narrow, and obviously this is, as I said, this is the 2025 updated version, which means it's, as I said about all the electronic sort of updates, but also apparently the screen was a bit of a pain on the previous model, where you had to basically get off the bike and pull the screen up, which wasn't ideal. This one's a lot more user friendly. There's a little toggle on the side that you can move up and down, but we'll see what sort of wind deflection we get off of that. I do like a good screen. It is a must if you do any type of touring. And they've also made the panniers a little bit larger on this version, to accommodate a helmet or two, whereas the previous one was a little bit small for that. So yeah, they've increased the size of them, which is good. I thought this bike was going to remind me a little bit of like an NT1100 Pan Euro or something like that, but it doesn't. Not at all. As I say, it shares more in common with the platform of the Africa Twin, which, to be honest, you can tell that it's obviously derived from that. And I did read something interesting in the comments, actually, because obviously I mentioned about riding this bike, and someone said, I don't know why you would have one of these over an Africa Twin, like an adventure-style bike. And I think the fact is, not everybody wants an adventure-style bike. I think this is, a little bit more, obviously a lot more road bias, but I mean the Africa Twin is, let's be honest, 90% road anyway. The amount of people that actually be taking them off. Oh, look at that, Forenza, Vauxhall Forenza. You don't see many of those. I used to love the old Droop Snoot version of those. What was I saying? Yeah, why would you want one of these over an Africa Twin? Well, as I said, like, not everybody wants to be, dressed like Ewan McGregor and have the full one-piece, adventure outfit on. This is obviously 100% road biased, and it shows. I mean, I must say though, the Africa Twin was incredibly stable, that bike. even when it had sort of like, you know, the partially sort of, you know, 90%, 10% off-road tyres, which, you know, to even say they're off-road wasn't, but they were like, you know, a little bit, you could do a little bit of gravelly, and yeah, that bike was smooth as you like. As I say, it's quite a bit of low-down torque, which is good, which I like. I quite like this colour actually. This was the colour when I was looking online at Honda's sort of spec list. They obviously had these. They're not the wild sort of outrageous colours at all. You know, Honda aren't known for that really. But yes, so don't go thinking you're going to get one in a Repsol paint job, because obviously you're not. These are a little bit more staid and a little bit more muted. Which, to be honest, the sort of person who's going to ride this is probably going to be a sensible type of guy. A bit like myself really. That TFT screen is large and in charge, and I like it. Feels a little bit rally raid actually, sort of the way it's sort of stacked on top of each other. Apparently this bike has a range of around about 250-260 miles, which is good. I think MPG, I think I read it was around about the sort of late 40s, early 50s, which is pretty good. Especially when you've got all the panniers and all that good stuff on this bike, which we have, and we have a top box as well on this one, which is good. We'll check all that out though when we pull over. We'll have a good look around. Oh, she's talky. Definitely a talky motor. That was a slick gear change. As I say though, for the 2025 model, I think really a lot of software in the gearbox has been improved just to make it a bit smoother. Whereas I'll be honest, even with the old CRF 1100, I didn't think it was too jerky at all. Bit of traffic here, which is good. It's very easy to manoeuvre. Honda for you, isn't it? They've really gone to town on sort of the wind deflectors as well to keep the wind off you here, which is nice. Look at that, it's so smooth on the throttle that you don't need to be, because I always worry about anything sort of automatic or DCT is that it's going to be really jerky, and when you're trying to pull away it's going to be a bit clumsy, and it isn't at all, which is a nice plus. We're going to do a little bit of country as well. So I know you folks like a bit of country riding. I could roast a chicken on these heated grips. The new CRG grips. Chicken rotisserie grips. Got me thinking about chicken now. I'm just thinking how I would use this bike. And as I say, I like to do a couple of trips to France, Germany and all that sort of stuff during the year, and this would be an easy bike to do it on, because the panniers, although they're a decent size, they're not too wide. I've had many bikes, especially with adventure bikes, if you've had anything like a GS or a Triumph Explorer or anything like that, they're huge bikes to begin with, and then they've got massive metal panniers, like huge. So the bike's so wide that you don't feel like you can really filter on it. Where this, I don't get that feeling at all. I have to remind myself it has got panniers, just in case I go anywhere that's a little bit narrow. It really does feel slim, which is nice. As I say, this won't be a massively long test ride today. Just my usual use the bike how you use it type review. So yeah, I think you get to know a lot about a bike within the first hour or so anyway, and the rest is plus points, but it doesn't give you the full picture, and I must admit to that, it doesn't, because I took that XADV 750 out the other day and I really liked it. And the more I think about that bike, the more I like that bike, which is yeah, so you do think I would like a little bit longer with the bike, but yeah, that XADV, if you haven't seen the video, that really is a good fun bike. Alright, see how she handles a bit. I don't know what tyres are on these, but confidence inspiring. We're going to keep it in tour mode for the time being. I'm trying to get a bit of a baseline first of all, and then we'll move between the different modes. I did just reach for a clutch, I must be honest. That doesn't look like a particularly secure load to me behind that transit van, so I think we'll take a bit of a gap between him and us. So I love this little switchback corner here because it really lets you know about the bike's handling capabilities. It's coming down the box nice and easy. Yeah, the gearbox dropped down a gear, and yeah, no juddering, no issues. I was sort of waiting for there to be that with the gearbox, you know, because you're expecting it to go, oh, it can never be as good as me, and I'll be honest, it is. I'd love to say my gear changing was way better than a DCT box, but I won't lie to you. So say we haven't got masses of power, 100 horsepower, but it's surprising what you really need. I mean, going back to what we mentioned earlier about what you want and what you need. Do you need 160 horsepower in this type of bike? Well, it'd be nice, I suppose, but it's really not needed. And any extra time you'll be making up, you'll be stopping for fuel. So if you're about making progress, then I think this is just as good. Alright, we can give it a bit of beanage. These roads are notoriously bad around here, which is why I like bringing bikes over them. And when we come back this way, we'll change the modes. As I say, I want a bit of a baseline first. Oh, here we go. Oh my word. See, that's what you're watching out for all the time on a motorcycle. I just remembered I've forgotten my father's birthday card, which is annoying. I always buy him the most offensive birthday card I can find. Literally the most offensive, and I've forgotten it. I can't even say what it says on the card. But I always make out to him that it's something like, you know, it's a garden shed with a spade up against it, and it says best dad in the world, and then when it comes I go, oh, they've got it wrong again, Dad. Oh, can you believe it? That joke's only been going on for about 5 or 6 years now, so I don't think he's quite bored of it just yet. But yes, rest assured the birthday card is incredibly offensive. So what would I prefer over an NT1100 and a CRF 1100 Africa Twin? Well, for me, I do a bit of green laning, and I am partial to a little bit of soft roading. So for me, I mean, it'd make more sense to have an Africa Twin just because I can then do that. But if I was strictly road only, I'd have one of these with the electronic suspension and the DCT. I know it takes the price up to around about 14,000. I'll insert the price now for a DCT and the electronic suspension. But yeah, that's how I would go. Alright, I'm going to give it a bit of beans down here. So the bike wants to stay in that gear when you give it the beans, because obviously it doesn't, you know, it's trying to predict what you're trying to do. So when you get the beans, it will hold on to the gear for a few seconds and then click up. I mean, I manually clicked up there anyway, just for my own benefits. So yeah, bear that in mind. I love the way that you can just poodle along and the bike short shifting for you and using all of that torque. All 112 Newton meters granted. We're not, you know, we're not in a V12 Jag or anything, but it's got more than enough torque and more than enough power. Well, for me anyway. I'm just a little bit more honest with myself nowadays about what I need and what I want. I mean, years ago I just used to have the most powerful one there was, and I'm a little bit over that now, to be honest. Alright, where are we going? Motorcycles. I think this might be a motorcycle. Neutrali. Right, I'm going to pop in there now, buy my father a helmet, and then I'm going to give you guys a good walk around the NT1100. Hold the line, caller. A rather idyllic location for a good look at the NT1100. Yes. Well, there she is, in all her glory. I do love this sort of champagne colour with the gold forks. I do like that, and I like the underswept exhaust sort of cover on there. I think that looks really good. And again, as I always talk about, I love the way the calipers go into the fork legs like that as well. It's just a nice detail. It just looks slick. It just looks decent. So yeah, the panniers are a bit larger on this newer version. You can now get a helmet in them. I've put a helmet in the top box easily, and I have tried the side casings, and I can get a helmet in either side of those as well. So I thought that might be a useful thing to know. So let's have a look at the size of the, as you can see, the helmet's in the back there at the moment. It's a good size. Plenty of space in the back there. As I say, you've still got a little bit of space for other gubbins as well, if needs be, which is nice. The side casings as well, you can see they're quite wide, the side casings. Good size anyway. Let's open one up, shall we? They're really easy to use as well, which is good. So it's got like a side bag in there as well, but you can get a helmet in there, which is useful. And the other side is pretty much the same size, maybe a tiny bit smaller, but pretty much the same size. As I say, I really like these the wind deflectors as well, which is a nice thing to have. Fog lights on this model as well, which is nice. If you feel you want to come up a gear as well, you feel like the bike's sort of revving a bit, or you've got a bit too much engine braking, then on the plus and you're into another gear. And then down here as well to go down. So yeah, we've got quite a few function buttons here. There's quite a bit going on there. That seems to be a Honda thing at the moment. But yeah, the usual DCT side there with sport, neutral, yeah, automatic, manual modes, cruise control on there. So yeah, and just other display functions, which is nice. It's not too large either. It's a good size, but it's not humongous, which is good. So yeah, this model comes with the electronic suspension, which is lovely, but we'll have a bit of a play around on that when we get on the bike. So chain drive. I do quite like the exhaust end can on there as well. A nice detail, the LED lights, which is quite nice. So yeah, overall a good looking bike. Is it better looking than an Africa Twin? Well, I think that's the beauty and the eye of the beholder type thing with that. Some people love adventure bikes and some aren't too fussed on them, but yeah, this is more of a sort of touring sort of style, but the sort of more sort of upright touring model, more of like an adventure-esque, but with road wheels. You know, it's not like a Pan Euro or anything like that, where they're sort of, you know, the older sort of style of touring bikes where they're sort of low slung. It's not like that. It's not a tall seat, but it gives you a good view of what you're looking over, which is good anyway. So let's have a little bit of a faff around with the electronics, shall we? Right. So it starts right up on the button and runs beautifully well. I mean, you barely need to touch the starter, which is really nice. I like that. You just give it a little touch and it's straight on, which is nice. As I say, it's not massively loud either. Give it a bit of a noise check. Give it a bit of throttle. It's not, yeah, it's not the sort of bike you'd really be putting an aftermarket can on. Well, I wouldn't anyway, that's for sure. But let's let's have a look at the electronics. This is also touchscreen, which is kind of nice. Here we go. So we've got all our trip, average speeds, and all that good stuff. So what else can we touch on here? Right, rain mode. Right, rain mode, user 1, user 2, tour mode, which is nice. You can do all this obviously off the buttons as well, but just to show you as well, it's easy just to do this. So these are the different modes, which is nice. So you can change here for preload settings to have individual, 2 riders or luggage. Urban mode, which I think is probably, as it says, probably quite good on fuel that way. Rain mode obviously reduces power a bit, probably gives you a bit more traction control as well, and maybe even gives you a bit more ABS interference. So yeah, it's all pretty simple to use. Let's try it on the buttons here as well. So yeah, it does exactly the same job, just yeah, rain mode, urban, tour mode. Yeah, so then you can change obviously between fuel as well, and seeing your miles per gallon and all that good stuff. Obviously in whatever mode you want to be in, we'll change that mode to tour mode with 2 people. And we'll see how we get on with that. That'll be quite interesting to see. And then we'll change it to 2 with luggage, and then we'll go back to the normal setting and see how we get on. But yeah, that's just a bit of an overview of the NT1100. It's a good looking bike, and do you know what? It's how I like my bikes as well. It's not in your face, you know. It's typical Honda. It's got that sort of classy little sort of sound. It's not shouting in your face, you know, which is good. Try to see how we use the screen here. Oh, okay. Aha. Right, okay, so you pull this back and it can drop down up and forward, which is nice. Do like the fog lights as well. Yes, first impressions are very positive. Right, let's get it back out on the road. Let's try these settings and see how we get on. Here we go. Are they llamas or alpacas? I'm not too sure. If you know, stick it in the comments, but they are rather charming fellows, it must be said. Okie doke. The bike doesn't have keyless start, which I would like. Screen takes a minute to boot up as well. Okay, and it's remembered the tour settings I want it to be in, which is really frustrating when that doesn't happen, and it has remembered, which is good. So you can turn the ignition off, come back to the bike, and it will still be on your predetermined settings, which is nice. Right, let's see what it feels like with the 2-up tour mode. Takes you a minute to get your brain around the whole DCT. So you're up a bit of a gravelly hill here, and the camera isn't really doing it justice. It is quite steep and quite awkward, which is good because I wanted to try it on this sort of stuff, and it feels so well weighted. You know, it doesn't feel like bottom heavy or anything. That wants to take you over like a few BMWs, not to mention any models, GS's. Oops. How does it feel 2-up? I didn't expect it to feel firmer, because obviously you've got 2 on there. They sort of firm up the springs, but if anything, it feels a little bit lower and a little bit softer. I can tell a difference, but it's not huge. I think it's not really a fair test unless I've got someone on the back, really. Right, so I'm in fully touring mode now with panniers, everything on, the whole shamoli, and I'm going to give it a bit of beanage. Let's see what this person does. Excellent. I love just clicking it into another gear as well. There's no issue doing that, but I know a lot of people will go, oh, what's the point in having an automatic if you're going to flick it up yourself? What's the point? The bike can't read your mind. It can do the best thing it can do, which is obviously, if you're giving it a bit of the beans, it will obviously hold on to gears, and if you're going gently along the road, it will do that. But obviously it can't think for you as well. So yeah, just clicking it up another gear is no bother. Yeah, it feels really. I thought it'd feel firmer with the in the sort of 2-up mode, but it does. As I say, it's not really a fair test unless I've got someone on here. So, as I say, this is where sometimes you need a bit longer with the bike. I can sort of drag the good lady along. All 8 stone of her. Right, we're in urban mode. Yeah, urban doesn't feel as quick to want to get going, actually. Feels a little bit lazier, which is probably what you want with the urban. Rain mode. Rain again feels even less inclined to pick up its toes. Tour mode. Tour mode 2-up. We'll take that down to 2-up normal. Excellent. So if I wanted to overtake this car here, I'd be like, well, instead of having to pull on the throttle and let the bike think, oh, okay, what he's doing is he's dropping down and he wants to go, I'd just give it a little blip, 2, and then we're gone. Which is really nice and easy to use. Yeah, as I say, the modes do make a difference, but it's quite difficult in a short space of time to really give you an in-depth view of those, if I'm honest. It feels just a little bit more supple on the rear is what it feels. Like when you put it into one mode on your own, it feels a little bit more taut. Which is a little bit opposite to what I was thinking, actually. And again, everything's not perfect, so what isn't perfect? Well, I find the seat wants to sort of push me down towards the tank a bit, which is a little bit frustrating. But if you did have luggage on the back and you were in your touring, you were in your sort of 2-up mode and stuff, I'm sure that it'll level out a bit. But at the moment, it does feel like it's pushing me towards the tank a bit. I wouldn't say all the electronics are massively intuitive either. You do have to think. It's not like a, you know, like a car like your BMW iDrive or anything where you have the scroll wheel, or you know, even BMW's version on the bikes is a little bit more intuitive than this. So it's a little bit of a, but it's like anything. Once you know, you know. So you know, for someone who just jumped on it and hasn't ridden it before, yes, for the first few miles, it's going to be a little bit more of a thought process. I've noticed at higher speeds as well that you can get a bit of noise off of the screen. Apart from that, it's, you know, I know we're going to say it's £14,500 a lot of money for this full all singing, all dancing. I don't think it is in today's money. Electronic suspension, all the bells, all the whistles. For a touring bike, I think that's pretty good value, to be honest. I must remember I've got panniers on as well. This bike's very confidence inspiring, but you've got to remember you've got panniers on. Whereas when you're riding a larger bike like a Pan or something like that, you know you're on a larger touring bike and you're always aware. With this, it does feel quite a bit like an Africa Twin and doesn't at the same time, which is an odd thing to say, but I see this as a sort of like a multi-strada type version of the Africa Twin, if that makes sense. Like, it's still that crossover bike, but you know, you get that feeling still as you would, like I've ridden a Ducati Enduro and then obviously the multi-strada, and they do feel the same but different. And this is how this feels. It's sort of like a multi-strada version, you know, with the road wheels and stuff, and a bit more touring focused. I'm going very slowly here, trying not to put my feet down at all, and it is very, very good with the gearbox. I'm sure that person did that on purpose. Yes, it'd be a nice little bike to take to France, this would be. Honda sell the most motorcycles in the world. I was watching a video on YouTube, and it's talking about the best selling motorcycles, and it's by far Honda. I think pretty much out the top 10, I think Honda outstrip the rest of the top 9 put together, which is quite, you know, nearly, or just about, which is rather impressive. And look, let's be honest, that's not by chance, is it? That's not by accident. I feel really comfortable to get lean. It's a little bit slow to turn in. But as I say, I don't want 2-stroke RGV 250 levels of handling. You know, I don't want it being twitchy. This is predictable. It's just, there's no road noise off it at all. That's what I love. Until you give it a bit on the, you know, give it a bit of beans on the throttle, then you can obviously hear the exhaust note. But when you're down at low revs and you're just, you know, you're riding along at usual normal 30-40 mile an hour speeds, it's very quiet, very smooth. I hope that comes across. Alright, we're going to give it a bit of brake love here, see how good the brakes are. Oh my word, yeah. Yes, you're not going to go wanting on the brake front. Or could I have a DCT bike in my life? It has got me thinking. I've got a real thing for those XADVs though. If you haven't seen that video, check it out. XADV 750. Oh. If I had that bike, I would be definitely off to do a little France trip when the weather got better. And during the day, I would just poodle along local boulangeries, getting myself some a pan of chocolat, some jus d'orange, and all of that good stuff. See, I'm getting romantic now. Ben, you're still in Croydon. Right, drop down a gear, drop down another gear. Up a gear manually. Oh, it's a little dreamboat. So if you're in two minds about whether to have an NT1100 or an Africa Twin, then you must ride both. You must ride both. No two ways about it. Because yes, they are very similar, but they're also very different. So yeah, if you've even got a slight inkling for an NT1100 over an Africa Twin, then definitely give it a shout, or vice versa. I think really more of the Africa Twin is more of a lifestyle choice, if that sounds, and that may sound a little bit odd, but you know, I think it's like having a 4x4, right? We like to have them, but how many of us actually do any off-roading, you know? The amount of Range Rovers sold, how many people actually use their Range Rover for off-roading? So if you really sort of have a conversation about yourself, do I really, you know, do I want that because an Africa Twin because I want to go off-road, or, you know, do I want something a little bit more road compliant? This definitely is. But again, the Africa Twin's such a good bike on the motorway. That thing is way better than it should be. But yes, if you'd like a little bit of a longer test ride on this bike, guys, then let me know, because I'll happily borrow it again and do a little bit of a longer ride. Oh my word, just had a Tokyo drift moment in a lorry. A one tyre fire, if you saw that. Right guys, so get yourself on doble.co.uk, have a look at their new section, have a look at their used section, see if there's any bike along there amongst there that you would like me to test ride. They've got quite a good selection of, well, they've got a very good selection of new demo bikes, but yeah, I'm sure they don't have absolutely everything of every variety, but they'll have a good selection. So check there, and if they've got one that suits the needs, I will do that. And also their used selection, have a look at their used bikes. They've got a lot of used bikes, and it's all good quality stuff. It's not rubbish. So yeah, if there's anything along there amongst their used selection you would like me to test ride, then let me know. Stick it in the comments, and I will happily go and bother Doble and Honda to take it out for a test ride. They're very accommodating, they're so helpful, they've got so much knowledge. Yes, I'm a little bit spoilt actually, I'll be honest. So yeah, get in the comments guys, let me know what you want me to ride. Right, I'm gonna really try and catch this bike off of itself. So I think that's where a DCT works well with a bike like this, because it's got lower down torque. So if you aren't 100% in the right gear, then the bike will make up for that with torque anyway without having to drop down. But yeah, I think this type of gearbox has to be on a torquier engine like this for it to really come into its own. But these are just my thoughts, guys. Thank you so much for watching, as always. You're all such a friendly bunch. You've always such positivity and always saying such nice things in the comments, which I do really appreciate. It's very, very nice of you, and I feel a little bit spoilt at times, so thank you for that. So please like, please subscribe. I know it's painful to hear. I hate saying it. I feel like it's an unboxing video, and I feel like, yeah, a bit of an idiot saying it, but c'est la vie. So if you could do that, guys, as always, thanks so much, and I'll catch you for the next test ride.